A lot of people know a little bit about the three primary rays. Could you elaborate more on these rays, please?
Yes, the esoteric philosophy around the three primary rays is that it's cosmic energies, which is influencing all kinds of everything in the universe. Well, that's the theory. But in the human terms, whenever we put a word on those kind of energies, a word will kind of limit. Words are like a box. So you limit the unlimited. Even by calling it the three primary rays, you limit the one in many. But this is the way human functions, and this is the way we gain consciousness. So we divide the one in three primary rays, which in our system is the red, the blue, and the yellow. It's a little different from most other systems, but it's only a model. It's not reality itself. But it serves a purpose of expanding our consciousness. So usually to deal with these cosmic energies, we have to kind of transfer or interpretate those energies into the human life qualities, so we can understand them and start to relate to them and to the powers in us. So the first ray is the red ray. We are giving qualities like the willpower, determination, and so on. And the blue, we give the qualities of love, wisdom, self-acceptance, and so on. And the yellow ray, we give the qualities of what we call active intelligence. But there are also other ways of explaining these three dynamic rays, qualities, life qualities, in order to get it closer to the human life. So the red ray, which is associated with the root center, is the root in our human life. And as root, we can see that is the individual person. So the red ray and the root center is kind of a symbol of the individual, the process of becoming an individual during the evolutionary development. And there is there are a lot of mechanism involved in being an individual. Especially at these times, we have a pandemic right away, right here, which is encouraging people or demanding us to make distance to each other. Sometimes that we go into isolation. Now, isolation and distance is used for thousands of years in spiritual and religious systems as a means to speed up development. That means when you go into isolation, and they would call it a retreat, you shut out every person in your life, you shut out the whole world. And what happened is that your own world will start appearing for yourself. For your inner eye, your inner feelings, you will be confronted with deeper and deeper stuff the longer you are in the isolation. That's why these systems are using retreats. And sometimes it's 1 year or 3 years, sometimes it's 10 or 20 years. It depends on the choice of the individual and the guidance you received. It's also been used as punishment and torture in jails, for example, and exiles. And what we see, many reactions in the world today from people is that they are kind of panicking somewhat. They go into fear mode, into survival mode. And this is the first kind of sign that the subconscious is delivering, there is material issues, karmic issues that is surfacing slowly, and then the person starts to cope with that in the form of the basic defense system, which is fear or avoidance and so on. Some goes into conspiracy theories and so on and so on. There are many mechanisms at work in the humans to avoid this inner space where things emerge from. Now, if you go into a retreat under a spiritual system, it should guide you into your inner space and into what could be called the existential loneliness, which is a space inside of every person where we are totally alone. There is nobody that can come into that room and explain to you how it functions. We are alone with ourselves, and we have to interpretate whatever is going on in there without the possibility of being confirmed from the outside. We are alone. This is the basic inner core of being an individual. And this is, of course, well, in this pandemic, we are scratching the surface of that process. Now, in a spiritual esoteric system, this inner loneliness is the entrance to what could be called the creative void. The creative void is that inner space where we are totally alone, where there is actually nothing. So out of nothing comes everything. It's like the theory of the Big Bang, that there was nothing and then it exploded. However, that is possible, but that's the theory. It exploded and expanded into the universe. So this is like the universal or the cosmic breathing. It comes out of nothing and expands to everything, and when time comes, it goes back into nothing. It's like a breath, cosmic breath. And so does the function of the human, is similar to that. So we are going in that process of going into the existential loneliness, into the creative void. And that is the core, the entrance into oneness, if you can call it. But it's also the core or the basic for starting relations, starting to relate to other individuals who has the same empty space inside of them. So that brings us from the red ray, the root center, the individual, which is our, how can we say, individual being. So, but this is one side of humans. The other side is our social being. And that is represented by the blue ray, or in our system, it's the heart. So the heart is all about relating. And relating is the social being of humans. So we are both individuals, individual beings. We are social beings also. So when something goes is problematic in the individual process of becoming an individual, then it reflects in the way we relate. Or the opposite is also possible. If we are learning or we have a dysfunction in relating, this will affect the individual being. And then we have the third ray, the yellow ray, which I would call in this connection the mental, or it's a mental faculty. I would call it the integral being. This is the part of us that have to serve our process as an individual being, but also us as a social being. And how do these two fit together? That is the process we call integration. Therefore, you can call the yellow ray for the integral being. So the integral being, our mental department, has to learn to cooperate and to unite the individual side of us with the social side of us. Not on its own premises, though. It has to be a servant of the individual and the social being.